Hi. So hold on. I'm gonna show you guys where I'm at. Let's see here. We can take that. Hold on. One more thing. I was actually trying to get rid of the background. Cause bam bam. I am in the middle of the woods. We're in our happy place. My family, or so my husband, his parents, and my kids, they just went to an art festival and I stayed here. Um, so it's come to my attention that the lawsuit in Boston regarding Lucy Calkins and Pontus and Pinnell got kicked out of court. To which I say, that doesn't shock me. Don't get mad at me for saying that, but it does not phase me in the least bit because I knew that that likely was not going to go through at all. Hold on. I better turn my volume down here. Over here and copy. I wonder if I'm going to send this. Anyway, I was sending that to my friend Ashley. Because she had, I think, posted a little bit about it, but so I actually just posted like somewhat of a novel, not that bad, of why it failed and how to get it done the next time. And for all of my friends in Boston, please don't get in your feelings. I'm just letting you know that as somebody that has been to Boston, loves Boston, and everybody there, you're never going to get legislation like that passed in Boston. Let me explain the why. And I look like a ghost because I don't have any lipstick on. So if you see me put like lip gloss on, it's only because I look like a ghost very badly. Anyway, so the reason, this is just my stance. So when I'm looking at the lawsuit, I'm reading the reason the court stated that legally they don't have, and they're right, the court doesn't have the ability to determine if the pedagogy or the practices utilized by Lucy Calkins, Pontus and Pinnell, etc., they don't have the ability as the court to make a decision on if that is evidence-based or not. They can read the data, they can read the research and look around, but as it pertains to any legal landscape, they have to stick by what they know to be true or what they know. Science is not that. And they have to be able, so the people that brought it, or the law firm, I guess it was representing the parents, should have, I guess, in my thinking, they should have likely done a more thorough job as it, like, looking into the landscape of what is in the court's purview and like what they can and can't do. Yes, were we all happy that Fontes and Pinnell were getting sued? Were we happy that Lucy was getting sued? Did I think that the lawsuit was going to happen or that they would be punished? No, not for 1 second. And that's mainly because of the fact that, don't get mad, don't get in your feelings, okay? Because here we go. We're going to have that conversation that y'all all hate. And that is the conversation of party politics. Okay, that is what we're doing. So hold on. Party politics are always going to be in play when you do lawsuits in certain states. Mainly, let's just call a spade a spade. If you're out here filing a lawsuit like this, trying to ban this curriculum, or somehow do what you're doing with Lucy Calkins, Fontes, and Pinnell, and you're in a blue state, you're lucky you actually even made it to court, because historically speaking, blue states don't have legislation on the books as it pertains to literacy. Weird. Except not weird. I'm looking for lipstick because I'm just way too pale for myself. So hold on, y'all. Shiny object syndrome is not kicking in. I'm literally just trying to look for lip gloss because I can't stand the fact that I look like I'm dead because I'm so pale. Hold, please. Hold. Let me get something real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to get some lip gloss because I look dead. Let's see. I'm watching over here to make sure it's still running. I look a little bit better. Anyway, so the thing that I posted, I wonder if it'll let me share it. Share. I have to figure this out, you guys. So when you're live streaming to Substack, sharing things isn't as easy as we'd like. So let me come here and load this. There it goes. Okay, so hold on. I'm trying to get this up and running, or trying to get this pull this post up so you can see it. I don't know why. I hate the way LinkedIn is designed sometimes. Okay, so there it is right there. It's kind of lengthy, but not that bad. At least I don't think. All right, hold on. We're gonna share it. What do I want it to look like? That, definitely. Or that, yeah. Why does it turn that color? It's so weird. Hold on. You guys should see it here in a second. Looks different to me than it will to you, so. Okay, there it goes. Ooh, blurry, what's up? Okay, let me see if I can like zoom in on this really quick, because that is really blurry. Okay, it's fine now. All right, so here's the thing with this is that ignore all the other people like that you see. I'm so sorry for that. Moving on. Oh, good God. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying to move this out of my way. Okay, so this is the link to the article itself. And then we come over here, and this is like the response I gave, right? So it's essentially like, yes, I tagged and dragged because that's me and I don't care and whatever. But I also in here mentioned that we in Georgia banned we banned the use of this curriculum in Georgia this year with SB 93. And then I don't know who just mentioned me in a comment over there. Anyway, and then we did this. So this is something that like I spoke when we were at the Black Literacy Matters conference. Like this is what Cream and I talked about a lot in our panel, was that I don't like the way that like I look like a ghost. Hold on. Hold on now. I don't like this. I don't like it, y'all. Maybe that'll be better. Maybe my wallpaper in the back. Oh, what is going on here? It's spicy. Oh God, that's horrible. Oh, that's even worse. Oh my God. You guys, what does it look like? Any better? I don't think you guys can actually see it. Let's see now. You should be able to see this. Hold on. It's going to roll over. Anyway, so a big piece of what Kareem and I talked about at the Black Literacy Matters conference this year was the fact that, and it's like the one clip that I've still got pinned on my social media, but it's literally me talking about like, you can't, when you're fighting for kids, you can't just like, I'm gonna stop sharing this, by the way, because I just don't share anymore because it's just stupid. But anyway, nonetheless, I placed this whole thing out on my LinkedIn and about like that, and then the reason it failed. But what I wanted to highlight too was in an email statement, Calkins said she was thrilled with the decision. The court rightly recognized that decisions about how best to teach a reading should be made by educators. I'm glad that the lawsuit has been dismissed so we can all turn our attention to the urgent work of teachers of teaching American children to read. I have words for her. None of them are appropriate. Getting back to it. So sorry I even went through that. Lucy Calkins is an abysmal human. At any chance she gets, she will take it, and she'll take the limelight, and she'll take the money, and she'll do whatever she needs to do. This has been the case since the beginning of her rise to whatever. It doesn't even matter that she was kicked out of a whole college, that, you know, the teachers writing all of that. She's like a cat. She has 9 lives. She keeps coming back to life. Now, let me get back to the original topic at hand. So Lucy Calkins and Fontes and Pinnell were always going to win that case. That case was doomed to be dismissed. They're, again, like I said, in the court's opinion, which they're entitled to, they don't have any way to make a scientific decision. It's not a legal decision, it's a scientific decision, because they're basing it off of the flawed pedagogy or the flawed teaching methods from Lucy Calkins and Fontes and Pinnell, and insert whatever 3Qing pedagogy you want to. That's not the court's forte. The court is there to rule on the legal landscape, not the research. All right, so there is research out there that says, shockingly, and I don't know why the court didn't look at this, or why the attorneys for the parents that filed this lawsuit, I don't know why they didn't think about this, but there is a strong argument out there that the court is stating. There's a lot of articles out there. I mean, granted, they are paid for and bought by Calkins and Heinemann and everybody, you know, that did research on these programs, and the research cited loosely that it was evidence-based. So the court is making a ruling based off of information available all over Google, white papers, you name it. Again, they're a court. They are not scientists. They are not tasked with becoming scientists, and they're not tasked with rewriting any kind of laws based off of their opinion. It has to be factual. Okay, so let's get down to to where I was. So when you're doing things like this, my suggestion was the next time somebody tries to file a lawsuit like that, please do it in a state that's not a blue state. Red states, hi, I'm from Georgia. We ban Lucy Calkins and Fontas and Pinnell and anything that resembles Surrey queuing this year. So that was done by yet another freshman rep. His name is Rashawn Kemp. He is a former principal and former superintendent. So he, like Bethany Ballard, when she did HB 538, his first bill was, hey, nah, we're banning this. Nah, we're done. So he piggybacked off of all that legislation we did from HB 538 out. He piggybacked off that and said, okay, well, look, we're going to just go ahead and put the nail in the coffin and we're just going to ban this. So let me explain the landscape of that and what I said with Kareem at the panel. I was fortunate enough to do with him. So the infamous, or whatever I said, I was like, look, for 40 days, 40 days a year, every year in Georgia, I work with legislators. They know the protocol. I know the protocol. For those 40 something days a year, that's all it is. We make a truce, and it's like we kind of turn a blind eye to their lack of moral compass or whatever upsets us about them. We don't care. And then they also turn a blind eye to the fact that they're working with somebody that on any given day they would not even have like lunch with, because like nothing about me and my appearance screams that I agree with them, right? So for those 40 something days, we don't have, I mean, like, it's not like we're out here sending Christmas cards to each other. All we're doing during those 40 something days is making sure we have solid legislation in place to make sure children are afforded the right to read in the state of Georgia. As I said in that panel, I find it's incumbent upon me and those that have advocated for these things in this state. It is our responsibility. I feel a responsibility to every single child in the state of Georgia to fight for those bills, to make sure we get those bills in place. And if that means I have to be nice to somebody that I historically would not give the time of day or even like pour water on if they were like on fire, I'll do it. But once it's over, it's done. And that means that the playing field is even again. And that means if you out of pocket, I'm gonna check you. They'll do the same with me. At first, when we started like pushing for legislation in Georgia, I was so grossed out that I had to work with some of these people. But it's not just a one-side-ism. I was grossed out. I had to put my differences aside with some of the Democrat senators here in Georgia. Because trust me, they say out here saying some stupid things. I'm like, I'm in the middle of the woods, and why do I hear sirens? That doesn't make me feel comfy. So yeah, the Dem senators out here are historically, like, they're notorious for doing some stupid things and saying some stupid things on the floor. And then the other side of the aisle, whichever, I'm not even going to refer to them as Republicans or I don't even know what they are anymore. They're just like them. They're notorious for doing and or saying stupid things as well, and passing horrid bills based off of their lack of moral compass or caring about just humans in general. Sorry. This isn't a long story short. This is a me saying to people that are out here trying to flounder around and figure out how to get rid of flawed practices in your state. God damn it, suck up your everything, put it aside, and remember, because I know I'm told this all the time, it's about the kids. Put the kids first. Remember? This is the thing that I get hit for the hardest. Lauren, it's about the kids. It's not about you. No shit. So why should it be any different when you're advocating for children at the legislative level? Why should the standard that's applied to me and my tone, or in the tone policing and the way I advocate, why is it only allocated? It's allocated. It needs to be allocated to everybody. When y'all are out here saying all means all, until all kids can read, and keeping on the kids, it's about the kids, cool, but apply it to everybody, not just me. All right, apply it to everybody, not just me. And then also live by it. Simple. It's simple. It's that simple. But I digress. People want to get in their feelings and talk shit to me and say that, like, I do things that they don't agree with. That's fine. That's their prerogative. They're allowed to do that. Do I care? Nope. Have I stopped caring about opinions? Yup. Yep. That happened a long time ago, because I have just come to accept that I'm never going to see eye to eye with people. I'm never going to ever see eye to eye with everybody. I mean, it's not something that I'm ashamed of, nor is it something that I'm going to waste my brain cells arguing over or giving you like some kind of dissertation as to why it's not fair or why they should be held. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't care. I'm not in the habit of kissing anybody's ass. So again, let me just apply that to the politics. All right. In Georgia, which, the whole fake elector scheme, Mr. the guy that, is supposed to be running the country. In Georgia, we famously had that whole phone call where Brad Raffensperger just like put his stuff on air and was like, here you go. Well, that's because we're a one-party consent state and we can do that. But there's also something in local laws here in Georgia, as we refer to it as local legislation, local control. Local control rules everything. It overrides everything. Okay. So in every state across the South, we all know everything is local control. But here's the thing. Within the states that are making the changes to literacy legislation and helping kids learn to read and write, the thing we have in common is we're doing it, and we're doing it by overriding local control. We're not suing. Granted, there's a whole argument for why they do need to be sued, and there's malpractice, all of that. Yeah, educational malpractice at its finest, but not, unfortunately, courts don't rule on that. You have to show harm has been done to the child. It's as simple as that. So that's why you have to get into the trenches and get your hands dirty and be friends with people. Not only be friends, but like get along with people 40 days a year to override local control. It's that simple. Again, I have to tell you, I don't like it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate every bit of it. I spend 45 days just sucked into it's bad. I spent 45 days getting, pinged on my burner Twitter. And like I get messages, like literally, I'll get messaged randomly. Like we won't even talk all year. And then all of a sudden, like some bills start dropping in. Ping, 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 ping. I'm like, okay, here we go. So like I start killing bills, or we're like, I'm not gonna give all my secrets away. But this is just something that I've leaned into because maybe it's due to my upbringing within the landscape of I grew up in law firms. Maybe it's from that. Maybe I lean into the politics of this, because I have historically always been heavily political. I'm an activist. You see this shirt? The system isn't broken. It was built this way. Everything I've done, every stunt I've pulled has been to give somebody the middle finger and tell them, well, you're cute and thanks for your attempt at that, but let me go dog walk you real quick. Sorry. Not sorry, actually. That being said, if anybody comes across this in the literacy space, which likely they won't, because I'm blackballed basically, because oh, God forbid I don't follow the rules, that plays into it as well. These rules that you guys have out here, I think that's a damn bear that was here last time. I'm so sorry. The rules that are applied to me, but not applied to anybody else. The rules that are applied to not just me. They're applied to myself. They're applied to Ashley at Dyslexia Initiative. They're applied to a couple of other women that I know. We get hit with rules that nobody else has to abide by. Now, do I care? Like I said, I said earlier in this, I don't care anymore. I don't care. It's detrimental to the space. It is a gross display of privilege. It is exactly why I don't lend my efforts or voice to anybody that belongs to a nonprofit that has millions of dollars to do all the right things with, but doesn't do anything with it. I mean, you can post all you want. You can have chapters in every state. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. But if you're not in the trenches, if you're not getting your hands dirty, if you're a Twitter advocate, if you're an Instagram advocate, if you're not actually in the middle of it, then like Kareem said, I question what you're doing here. Because simply using your money and your name and your brand to tweet, click, like, or share, whatever. Isn't that pretty as a bird? That's not helping kids. It's not helping anybody. It's actually making it worse. The amount of money that's been pumped into the amount of money that has been like pumped into the advocacy space, that like I started doing this for my child years ago. There was no money in this. There was none. And you know what? We made more change without money than we ever have with money. I promise you, SB 48, the first bill we had here in Georgia for dyslexia or literacy, we had no literacy legislation. We only had dyslexia legislation. There was no money pumped into that campaign. That campaign came purely off the backs of parents submitting the stories of what it was like for their children inside public school. And Fran Millar here in Georgia, my rep at the time, was horrified. And that's how we got legislation. They formed an entire dyslexia task force. All the individuals that worked with my son, who evaluated my son for years, they were all on that task force. So again, there was no money. We had no nonprofits. Nobody was handing us anything. It was literally just moms out here like pushing. And that's kind of where I want to leave it. Everybody has good intentions. I guess you could say, like, everyone in this space kind of has good intentions, and everyone's doing it for the reasons that they have their own reasons for doing it. But remember, the one thing that y'all all tell me when y'all get mad and y'all see me jumping somebody, when I call somebody out, remember what y'all always tell me. Lauren, it's about the kids. It's not about you. It's not about your ego. It's not about you. I'm told that all the time. So I'm going to now relay that message to the rest of the community that I have, like I said, I don't want nothing to do with y'all. I'm literally like I'm like rebranding my everything. I don't even want this. I'm renaming my Substack, or actually I'm going to make a whole different Substack because this is not what I want. I want nothing to do with literacy advocates. I want nothing to do with literacy nonprofits. Zero. I don't want anything to do with it because I've historically been burned by all of them. And the stories I could tell you about them, oh my God, because they are absolutely horrible. The intellectual property that has been stolen from me by these nonprofits who know what they stole and like to turn their head and act like it didn't happen, even though it's in writing and on film. I'm not going to go down that lane again, but I will say the reason that legislation or the reason that bill didn't work or the reason that the court dismissed it, it was filed in Boston. Boston's a blue state, or Massachusetts is a blue state. And I'm going to be the first person to tell absolutely everybody this every single time. If you're trying to pull a stunt like that, man, you better find a red state that's got people in that state that are willing to go toe to toe and say, hell nah. Because what I know to be true in Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, you name Alabama, you name it. What I know to be true here is our reps, you got to get past them. Because we as moms pushed so hard, we were able to finally expose what we had known to be true. We showed them that the Georgia DOE had been out here wilding out lying about graduation scores for years. We were like, yo, yeah, they graduate, but they can't read. Have you looked? I pulled the data every year. I've got dashboards dating back to 2016. These kids have never been able to read. That's the data I handed over to reps to get Bethany's bill over onto the floor because there were superintendents standing in front of her trying to block it. So, like I said, take that mentality and all that energy and all that money that you guys have and just funnel it into working with people that you don't necessarily agree with and that you don't like. Put that energy in the right place. Don't keep using your money to help nonprofits that don't do that. I mean that. Don't work with people that have millions. They've got this. They have the ability to hire lobbyists, but they won't do it. Have you ever wondered why? Have you ever asked these nonprofits out here for literacy why they don't have a lobbyist? Why they themselves are not lobbying? Why are they coming to us in the South? And I'm not going to lie about that. Why do I have these folks sliding into my DMs or my messages asking me how I did this? Nah, you got the money. You've got plenty of money. You got more than we have. The problem is your money makes you forget that there's a whole bunch of parents out here floundering around trying to fix it. And so you forget about the moms and you forget about the kids that are involved. I don't care what your mission statements say. I don't care about all that. All I care about is what you actually do. All I care about is being in the trenches and seeing you put in the footwork. If I don't see that, I don't care. And again, that's why I don't like a lot of these nonprofits out here. There's one that I stand behind. And that's because she's a mom who has a dyslexic child who said, oh, hell nah. She walked away from her insanely awesome and amazing legal career as a litigator. And she started a nonprofit for the right reason. And guess what? Every bit of money she raises goes to training teachers. She now has a tutoring program that's working. Can any of the other nonprofits do that? Can you say that you have made that kind of change? No, you cannot. In fact, what makes me really mad is that I see you and I see the shit that you're doing. I see what you're pitching, and I see that you're now stealing from a mom who started a nonprofit off the back of one thing, her kid, and every kid in the state and every kid across the country. You're stealing what she has done and what she did by herself and her team. So the nonprofit, you know who I'm talking about. I know what y'all are doing. You better be glad I haven't run it back to her yet, because I promise you, as a litigator, that woman can dog walk you. And I would love to see it happen. That's my energy. So I am going to wrap this up because I'm on vacation. I'm not supposed to be doing any of this, but like I saw that article come up and I was like, oh, look, hey, imagine that it didn't pass. The court dismissed it. Okay, again, if you have ever been in the trenches working on behalf of kids and you have no money, you would have known from the onset that that was never going to see the light of day. I was happy they sued. I was happy they pitched it, but I knew there was no chance in hell it was going to actually happen. There's no incentive. There's no way. There's the legality of that and the legal landscape of it is like it's a flawed at best. It's a flawed lawsuit because you have no standing. There is sufficient, well, I'm not going to say it's sufficient, but there's copious amounts of information out there that Heinemann Publishing has paid for to state that Lucy Calkins and Pontus and Pinnell and whomever else they pump out is evidence-based research. I mean, it's out there. It doesn't matter that it's not true. It does not matter that we all know it's not true and that it actually does harm our kids. That does not matter. What matters is the data is out there. The data, be it true or not, is out there. And all a judge in the legal community have an obligation to do is to base the merit of that lawsuit in front of them or the claim in front of them. They have to base that off of the legal landscape. They have to base it off of facts. And the burden of proof is on the person that starts the lawsuit. The burden of proof is not on the party you're filing against. The burden of proof falls on you. So if you start that kind of lawsuit, don't put it on something that can be squashed within 5 minutes of Google search. Not even 5 seconds of Google search. Start the lawsuit based off of examples of, as I like, okay, so last thing, and then I'm going to get off there. When you file a complaint with whatever state you're in, you have to prove that it academically harmed your child. So, does Lucy Calkins, Pontus and Pinnell, and 3Qing academically harm children? Some would argue yes. Others will argue, well, it damages children on IEPs that have dyslexia or have been diagnosed with a learning disability. But there's a gray area in both of those answers. The gray area is, even though it may have academically impacted a child and their inability to learn to read and write within the public school setting, it's not a strong enough claim. And I say this as somebody that has filed due process twice. Both of the times, I mean, hell, on the second case, I did myself. I filed that complaint myself. And it damn sure wasn't about fate. It was not about any of the other things. It was about confidentiality. I had to stick to facts. And the reason that the ALJ or the judge allowed the case to go forward was because I stuck to the facts. Confidentiality. So, I guess my parting words are, because I'm going to do one later when I get back home from vacation. Can we maybe stop doing this thing now where we think we're going to win, and then when we don't win, we go on social media and we just whine and we just show out? Because what you're doing is further fracturing this community. I have to say one last time, we were much better off without the money. We got more done before the money came in. We were in a better place before money got involved. The monetization of what this fight began over, monetizing off of broken moms and broken kids, has never sat well with me and will never sit well with me, ever. I guess that's what separates us from them. Us meaning the ones that have been out here making sure parents had a voice, making sure parents and children knew that we were listening and knew that their voices weren't being dismissed. Maybe that's why we don't see eye to eye, because we as parents have something involved in this, but our voices are dismissed. But guess who's changing things in states? Parents, moms, loud moms like me or not, loud moms like me get shit done without any money. Does it include some ass kissing? From other people, yes. From me, not so much. I'm not really the one that likes to kiss anybody's ass, which is why nobody under the gold dome has actually seen my face, other than on Twitter, Instagram, or social media. They'll likely never meet me in person because I have no desire to go kiss their ass. None. I've never kissed anybody's ass. In fact, likely why I don't have a job right now. I still don't have income. Do I care? Yeah. Do I think that I want to go back into that arena? No, 100% not. Were the benefits great? Yep, that was it. But I'm not going to disparage or say anything negative because I'm not stupid and I'm not going to give them any kind of legal claim. But like I said, can we maybe get back to our roots? Moms, remember when this was just about us making sure that like our kids weren't afterthoughts and that like we weren't ignored? Can we get back to that? Can we remove the money? Can we remove all the nice shiny things that have come along with this? Can we get rid of those and just go back to basics? Because from what I see, the money isn't changing anything. The money is just making it worse. And I can say that as somebody who has watched this landscape, and I've watched the shift, and I've watched legislators literally in other states, not even in Georgia, it's not in Georgia, No, none of the southern states are saying this. But I know that the blue states use this all the time. They use your money against you. They make the argument that you're basically the George Soros of lobbyists or whatever, parents. That's what they say about you. It's driven by your money. That's the landscape of legislation. That's the landscape of the optics of how we as literacy advocates and parents are now viewed. And it pisses us off. Us as in the moms who don't come along with millions of dollars, or lawyers, or anybody else. It pisses us off because you know what? We busted our ass to change the narrative and to have the conversation, only for y'all to come in with your money and get it all watered down. Nobody wants to have that conversation with y'all. You're not going to change anything in a blue state. You know why? Democrats are really good. Like I said, Democrats have great big ideas, but when it comes to following through, especially with education, they suck. They don't know how to. Case in point, Stacey Abrams. The reason Stacey Abrams lost in the state of Georgia the second time, a lot of us asked, what are you going to do about education? What is your education policy? That was during a debate with Brian Kemp, and she said, it's on my website. That was her answer. It's on my website. So if you're a Democrat and you're out here running, do yourself a favor. Learn education policy. Bare minimum. Learn it. Okay? Because I feel real dirty having it turn my head the other way and vote for the lesser two evils. Because I know, historically speaking, in Georgia, the person on the blue side is not going to win. But I would love it if Democrats would change their messaging. I would love it if they would actually embed themselves in education policy, because I'm so tired of that only belonging to one side. It needs to belong to all sides. And in Georgia, we've done that. In Georgia, we have all sides involved. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Everybody in Georgia is involved. And that's the same in Mississippi, the same in Alabama, the same in Louisiana, you name it. Any southern state out here that's pulled something off, it's because we have bipartisan buy-in. Everybody's involved. Everybody jumps in because everybody understands it's bigger than their careers. It's about kids, and they keep it on the kids. So there's that. But y'all have a good weekend. I'm going to go back to enjoying being in the middle of the woods.